Okay, this is Crossroads Carnival on Broken Dreams, session 2 of 5. In session 2, or session 1 rather, we mostly just did character creation and world creation. And now we are going to start playing. I think the way this is going to go is probably like the bulk of the session, maybe 3/4 of it, will be taken up with daytime scenes. Your characters interacting with the brand new town that you're going to be in, interacting with each other. Be a little bit like Monster Hearts, kind of roaming around, firing off moves, kind of seeing where the story goes. And then the last part of the session will be your performances. So we will get to see your characters actually perform. And the way it normally goes is that the performance time is sort of the time that you like when we start to like reconcile things from the daytime, right? Like maybe you have an interaction with a particular rube during the day, and they come to see your show at night, and then at night you use your performance to kind of like convince them or lure them or allure them or whatever, right? So that is how I kind of anticipate it going, but we'll see. I'll remind you all that this is a fairly dark game, X cards on the table, and that this game has like lots of like very like overt supernatural stuff going on, right? Like your characters are supernatural characters, right? But also the quote unquote darkness that is consuming the world, or that is threatening to consume this part of the world, is often reveals itself in the form of like dark supernatural creatures, demons, vampires, that kind of thing. So just be aware of that. And I think when last time I played this with Kate, it was a fae thing. There was like some fae monstrosity that had taken over the town. It was in some church's basement or something. So that's gonna probably happen at some point. And I had one. No, I don't know. Never mind. I'll come back to it. I had something in my brain that I wanted to talk about, but I'll come back to it. Let's just kick off with the new town. So the last town you all were in was, we didn't name it, but we're going to say that it was Stillwater, Kansas. They were a bunch of holy rollers. They chased you all out, and they actually severely beat the contortionist James, who can't do his act now. Maybe he does like ticket taking or something, right? He's got some job that doesn't require him to move around a lot, right? And so that was what kind of happened. You've been on the road for a little bit, maybe half a day, and you reach the town of Pratt, Kansas. So I'll type that in the chat. Pretty standard Dust Bowl town. Used to be a bigger, more vivacious town, but ever since the Dust Bowl hit, it is like most of the towns you've been through. It is dried on the stalk, right? Like it is withered. And we're going to talk about some of that. But I think that the manager of the show, I believe his name is Harrison. Harrison has decided this is where you're going to set up the carnival. There is a farmer's field that you are going to be set up in, and it's getting it real cheap because right now the field is fallow. And so you all are all going to be able to have a couple week long engagement, even if you want it. And so I think it's probably early in the morning. You probably all got there like the night before and then decided just to crash. And now it's the next morning, and everyone is starting to set things up. Set things up, get the tent set up, like start moving things around and getting ready for the show. I think it's probably like we'll say it's a Friday. We'll say that you guys plan on having a show tonight as soon as you get everything set up. I think I want to just go around the table and really quickly ask everyone, or just find out what everyone would be kind of doing during this like kind of, early morning setup kind of thing. I'll tell you that they have one of the first things they set up is like a long tent that has like, um, like where all the cookers and stuff are set up. Like, they have like some outdoor, like stove tops and things like that set up, and they've got breakfast going. And so a lot of people will be converging there and grabbing breakfast and whatnot. So let's just go in the order of the sheet for now. Bart, what do you get up to in the morning?
I think Bart pretty much splits his time between two activities. One is creepily watching Izzle, and the other is sneaking around spying on Arlia. So
let's go to Izzle then. Izzle, what do you do in the morning? What is Bart possibly spying on you doing?
So yeah, Izzle will sort of get up with the sun, though he's possibly a little sluggish in the morning, not the most morning of people, but he'll sort of snag himself a cup of coffee, and he's probably actually helping assemble the tents. He seems quite practiced at it. It's obvious, it's a fair bit of work, but it just seems to be something that he's a fairly sort of natural at doing.
Good. What about you, Arlia?
If we're having to get things set up, I see the inside of my tent as relying on a lot of like black velour and sort of mysticness, but this is like Dust Bowl America, so black is impossible to keep up. So I think there's this careful process of like pulling out these inside fabrics for my tent that are wrapped in like 3 other layers of fabric, and waiting for a moment when the wind isn't too bad, and then just like beating the crap out of them over a line to get all the dust out, rushing them inside so they don't get too much more.
Nice. Anita, what about you?
Helping unload things from the trucks, get them to where they need to be to set them up. And at some point, she goes to check on James because she feels kind of guilty for like not looking after him in the last town. Like, just kind of make sure he's got everything he needs because he's having a hard time getting around.
Yeah, I like that scene with James. Why don't we do that? So I will frame it up. I think James is... I think James has basically kind of taken to being Harrison's like I don't know, like maybe he's starting to like learn the part of the business that involves like bookkeeping and things like that, right? So he's kind of moving into a somewhat managerial or kind of position, which he's not super happy about. He's maybe not even good at it, but in any case, so he's probably like actually. You kind of see him, he's on some makeshift crutches making his way over to Harrison's tent. Harrison's tent, incidentally, no one remembers setting it up. You all just woke up and it was set up already. It's got big, beautiful gold and interlaced gold and purple stripes. It's quite grand. And yeah, like the first person to get up in the morning was like, oh, Harrison's tent is set up. And so you'll see James kind of heading towards Harrison's tent. What do you do?
Yeah, catch up with him, and like if he's carrying anything, sort of offer to carry it.
Not hard to catch up with him. You
no.
And he says, "Oh, hey, Anita, I'm off to another afternoon of number crunching."
Yeah, that sounds like just all kinds of fun.
Yeah, well, at least I'm still able to be some use to the carnival. It's not ideal, but Harrison is he's very nice. He's teaching me lots of very interesting things.
That's good. I mean, I guess it's somebody other than Harrison really ought to know something about the money side. Just
He's like, well, that's a funny thing. I can't say I'm 100% certain that we are solvent right now. I'm still pretty early in my training here, but too many of the numbers are on the wrong side of the ledger, it seems. I don't know how much longer we can go. I mean, I didn't go to school or anything, but I know enough to know that if you're spending $2 to make $1, that's a problem.
so we're broke.
I think we're pretty broke. Yeah. But Harrison just seems so unfazed by it all. Like he's just supremely confident that there's always going to be more money somewhere,
I mean, he's always, seemed to know what he was talking about so far, but
yeah. Paint the scene for me. When you look at James, how do you know, apart from the fact that he's like clearly physically injured, what else is it about his appearance that lets you know that he is he's really like feeling super dejected and down in the dumps and even depressed about his circumstances?
He's still wearing the clothes that he wore like yesterday, just and normally he's not as like fastidious as Harrison,
Right.
but he's always been like very conscious of his appearance, and he probably only owns 2 or 3 different shirts, but he never wears the same one twice in a row.
Yeah, and I think he's I think like you get to the entrance of Harrison's tent, and you can hear Harrison singing inside the tent. He's singing some kind of like German drinking song. It's very loud and boisterous and powerful. And James just kind of stops, and he just like looks around to see if anyone else is looking, and he just like starts bawling. He just starts crying. What do you do?
I like kind of go up and put my arm around him, like I'm like, it's not, you're gonna heal up. It's gonna be all right. You're gonna learn the numbers, and it's gonna be okay. Don't worry so much.
I think, why don't we go ahead and fire off a move, offer comfort. When you offer comfort to someone in need, roll plus grace.
Sure. Find the right tab here. Let's see, what's my grace? Do I have grace at all? 8.
All right, reading the move here. On a 7 to 9, their player gets to ask. Okay, so on a hit, you choose 2 from below, and on a 7 to 9, I get to ask one of you as well. Take a look at those on the move sheet. Do you need the move sheet?
It's actually someone who copied it into the tab. I don't know. It's there though.
Okay, cool. It's in the folder too. But take a look at those. I'm going to cut away for just a brief moment while you do that. Let's go with... I'd like to put Arlia and Bart together for now. I'm going to leave Nuala out for a moment, or Isil. 2 of you are doing your work. Bart, maybe you're watching Arlia do Arlia's work. And you all see a big fancy Cruella de Vil style, car pulling up the dirt road to where the carnival is being set up. And that gets everyone's attention, right? Everyone's like, whoa, who drives a car like that here? And it comes to a stop. And a very beautiful woman gets out. She was driving it. And she is, I think what she looks like. She's a black woman. She's got like spit curl hair, a very like nicely tailored, like red and black suit, and a little pocketbook in her hand. And she gets out and she's kind of like waving the dust away from her face. And she makes her way up. And I think Bart and Arlia, you two are like kind of on the periphery there as they're closest as she's approaching. What do you do? Say, Arlia, what do you do?
I mean, I'm gonna try and just drop what I'm doing with beating these velvets and try and get as close as I can and see what's going on. Because I mean, a car like that's either just way too much trouble or that's an amazing payday.
Yeah.
And I need to know which one.
So I'm sorry, say that again. Do you approach her, or do you what do you do?
Like I'm trying to sneak up towards the periphery and see what's going on with. If no one else is approaching her, I will go up. But if she's striding somewhere, I'm trying to see where.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to like look in the car, you can definitely sneak around and do that. If you want to encounter her, you can. The choice is yours.
Her. I'll go with her.
Okay. She sees you. Of course, you cut a very striking figure, even in the day. With she kind of comes up to you and she looks at you and she says, "My goodness, I thought I had it rough around here because of my skin color, but I bet you've got some stories to tell."
It's a life that comes with many ups and downs. Welcome, my lady, to the carnival.
My lady, my goodness. I didn't know we were in London, England right now. She kind of like steps past you, but then turns to look at you, and she says, "My name is Gloria Alvarez. I work for the Pinkerton Agency. Do you know the Pinkerton Agency?"
I can't say as I've run across them, no.
Like, Well, we are private investigators, and I am currently looking for someone who I think might be here working in your carnival.
We have many people here in the carnival. I can't think why anyone would be looking for one of them, though.
She says, "Well, if you have a minute, I'd like to ask you a few questions."
Of course. My tent is just over this way. And I'm gonna move up and try and take her arm as we're going forward and touch her skin.
Yeah, she'll let you. What are you doing in the meantime, Bart?
Yeah, I think as you turn to come back to your tent, you see that Bart, on the pretense of continuing your work that's been interrupted, went in to take some of your cloths out, but he's kind of like carried one out and maybe beat it twice, and then was back in your area, kind of sniffing around.
Good. Let's keep this going for a bit. So you said you were going to try to touch her. I assume you're trying to fire off a move here.
Yes, the touch. I'm going to try and feel the truth inside of her.
Yeah, roll plus breath.
All right. That is 2. Wow, 13.
Well, you get to ask two. If you're ready, go ahead. But otherwise, I'll come back.
What is she afraid I'll see?
pretty straightforward here. She's packing heat. And yeah, and she's armed. And you get this distinct sense that if it comes right down to it, she'll blow your brains out. She doesn't care.
Good to know. Give me a second to think on the other one.
Sure. Bart, are you also examining this woman, or are you doing something different? What do you said you were kind of like sniffing around.
Yeah, I mean, Bart was more interested in her as a useful distraction. But if his chance to snoop around is gone, he might. Yeah, I would turn my attention on her.
Yeah, I mean, you have this move called True Nature when you tap into your wolf to sense the monstrosity in others. I think that's a possibility, but I don't know if it's it might be kind of early for a move like that. But
yeah,
but that's something. Since we're kind of learning the moves here together, keep an eye out for trouble might also be a thing. But otherwise, I'll just let you kind of, we'll just kind of see where the scene goes. Yeah, I don't know if any of these questions on keep an eye out for trouble make a lot of sense in this context either. So why don't we just cut away briefly for a moment and go over to Izil. So Izil, what are your thoughts on... I'm curious to get your thoughts on a few things. What are your thoughts on like what happened to James, for example, and what happened back in Stillwater?
He's angry at it. He's angry at the people that did it. It's, he sees them as sort of small-minded and petty people. He probably feels a bit of a mixture of pity and contempt towards James himself for basically not being able to stand up for himself or not standing up for himself.
Well, you'll also, there's a buzz right now in the camp, the arrival of this fancy woman in her big car. What do you do? How do you react to it?
Yeah, I think with curiosity, I think he's going to sort of wander over towards where the buzz is centering.
Her car is right there, even though I think she's gone to the tent with Arya at this point. But
yeah, I think he is going to check out her car, just out of curiosity, really.
Yeah, I think you will. Go ahead and give me a keep an eye out for trouble, because I think that's kind of what's going on here.
Sure thing.
Ropel's Kyle. I'll tell you have a bad feeling about this situation.
Well, I rolled a 7, but my guile is a -1, so that's a 6.
Well, let's just go straight to the dark truth here. You will see on her seat of her car, there is a manila folder. Written on the tab of the manila folder, it says something like case : disappearance of HQ powers.
Yeah. Izil will swear under his breath. And
just to keep going a little bit further, because that feels like such a victory. You notice that, and as you notice that, I think You also, I think at this point, I assume maybe you would try to like go in hiding, possibly, or like go not be seen. Is that the idea?
Yeah, probably. Yep.
Yeah, I think there's no time for that. I think as you are like maybe thinking like, okay, I'm maybe trying to back out of the situation, go hide back, go to my tent, go be incognito for a minute. I think at that point, Harrison bursts out of the tent. We are gonna get back to you, Anita. Don't worry. Harrison bursts out of the tent. He is in his gleaming white and red, his gleaming black and red jacket with white kind of jodhpurs and boots. And he comes out and he lets out this big announcement that he wants everyone to gather around. Right? He wants everybody he just wants everybody to gather around. And if you try to slip away, he's not going to let you. Right?
Sure
So that's
thing.
kind of what's going on there. We're going to cut back to Anita briefly. So, what was that die roll, Anita, for comforting James?
7.
7. That's right. So what are you going to ask then?
Who here frightens you?
He is, I think, as you're kind of like, as you're kind of like, talking to him, trying to get him to calm down or whatever, he just, he kind of like, he kind of like clears his eyes or whatever. And he says, I have to tell you, I worry that if I can't pull my weight around here, especially with us not having much money, if I can't figure out this bookkeeping stuff, if I can't get all this stuff figured out, if I'm not pulling my weight, I'm just worried that some of the other carnies are going to want to leave me here or on the side of the road. I mean, Ezeel, he's just, I don't know, I feel like sometimes I look at that guy and think, oh, he'd rather eat me than I don't know, help me. I don't know. I just feel like my situation here is just really, really bad. I mean, what good is a contortionist who can't contort,
Well, look, you've been with the carnival how long? We don't want to get rid of you. Nobody here wants to get rid of you. Even Ezeel, that's just how he is. But I mean, that's why Harrison is teaching you, right?
I mean, I guess. I mean, he's just, I don't know. He's not really like teaching me anything. He's just kind of Harrison, like I asked him if I could help out maybe with the money, and he went on a long soliloquy about the nature of money and dreams and finance and all this other stuff, and I took that to mean yes, and so I just started doing it. I don't really know what's going on. I don't know. Maybe I need to get out of this game altogether.
I mean, what else would you do?
He starts crying again. He doesn't know how to do anything else.
Okay. Then we need to either figure out how to make more money or find something you can do.
I think I'm going to ask of you, what do you desire from him? Absolution.
Yeah, pretty much. That's not so much absolution, and like I don't know that he blames me in the first place.
There's no sense that he does, yeah.
But it's like so it's not like I'm asking for his forgiveness so much as that, I want my mistake to not permanently like ruin his life.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, so do you have another question, or was that?
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, I do have two, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you have two.
Hmm. Trying to think of how to tie any of these questions to it. They're all good questions.
Just ask something that maybe seems like it doesn't make sense because it might,
Okay, sure, yeah, why not? What discussed about yourself, another, or this place?
Choose one between those three.
Choose one. What discussed you about like the carnival?
He'll say, I mean, maybe I should just give up this game altogether, I mean, have you ever noticed that whenever we leave a town, we don't leave it better than we found it? I mean, we arrive, we do our shows, and just bad shit starts happening, I mean, maybe we're a curse, maybe we're like, I don't know.
I don't think we're bringing anything to these towns that wasn't already there.
Yeah, well, and at that point, I think that's when Harrison would have come out and is starting to like muster you all. Speaking of which, Bart, and you're in the tent just very briefly. I'll let you wrap up the rest of your touch move there if you want, Arlia, but
yeah. So she seems like a sort of at all costs kind of gal. So I think my other question is going to be, what would you protect at all costs? Like, she's got this gun and this danger. What would make her use it?
Yeah, I think that she's here investigating something, and you may learn more about what that is shortly, but there's more to it than that. I think that there is something very personal about this job. It's not just that she's hired as a Pinkerton to go investigate thing X, whatever thing X is. She hasn't told you yet. But you get the impression that she took this job out here, way out in the middle of nowhere, because there's more to it. She actually wants to be near the carnival. And that's what we maybe need to figure out. And out of character, I'm still trying to think of what I think that might be. But I like the idea of her being ostensibly there to investigate something, but that there's more to it. There's something personal about it all. And if anyone has any thoughts, I'm open to it.
I mean, she's a very striking person. Maybe she's a lot of us felt a sort of call to this carnival. Maybe she's feeling something similar on like a psychic level.
Oh, how interesting. Oh, that's very interesting. We'll continue to develop it, but I think there's two reasons. There's the spoken reason and there's the unspoken reason. And so you're in there very briefly, and she'll say, I'm here on the behest of the Powers family from New York. Do you know the Powers family? Are you familiar with Hiram Q. Powers?
I'm not from this area. I'm afraid I don't recognize the name.
Well, seems that some family members of his have come to believe that Mr. Powers may have been done in by a strange young man, an exotic young man, a lover that he had taken. We think that this young man might know where Mr. Powers is gone to. if he's dead, where his body is. It has been some time. And I've been following the case for some time, and I think that perhaps that person might be hiding among your crew.
And I think she'll...
And that's when Harrison comes out and is gathering everybody up. And she says, "Oh, how convenient. Everyone's all going to be all lined up for me." And she turns to leave the tent. What do you do?
I catch her arm real quick just to catch her attention for a moment. And I'm there, like, right up next to her, and my sort of pale pinkish eyes are like staring up at her, and I say, "Are you sure that's why you're here?" I won't hold her, like I'll let her go if she wants to go.
She will. I think you reach her in some way, like some. You and I think like when you say that, she looks around and sees the tarot cards, the crystal ball, the various psychic accoutrement, and she'll see all those things and she'll kind of wonder, like, did you just read my mind? Right. And she'll kind of smile and say, "This has been very fascinating." And she turns and she leaves the tent. Bart, I'm going to say you overheard all of that. And you may have started to put two and two together that she's probably looking for someone. She's clearly looking for somebody who is being lined up right now, like to muster with Harrison. She's going to get a good view of everybody. What do you do?
Yeah, that's definitely enough motivation to try to sniff out more about who she is and what she is. So
yeah,
I'll definitely make that true nature roll.
Yeah, I love it. So what does it look like when you tap into your wolf? Like, how do you, like, on screen, or just how do you perceive it, or how does this work?
I'm probably sniffing the air and getting downwind and seeing what we pick up.
Yeah, I like it. Roll plus breath.
That's 10.
10. Nice. You will. Let's read the move. Can I find that? On a 10 plus, take plus 1 4. On a hit, ask 2, and on 10 plus, you take plus 1 4 when acting on them. Go ahead and ask away. You can ask anything.
Yeah. How could I tempt you?
You smell wildness, beastliness on her. It's a familiar smell, actually. It's been a long time, but you smell it. She's attracted to wild, dangerous creatures.
And what is your secret weakness?
I'll go ahead and just deepen that a little bit. The person who made you what you are, she has been with that person a lot. So much so that smell hasn't washed off.
Okay.
What do you do? Anything?
Well, right now we're still all being gathered together. I probably can't.
Yeah, and this is the kind of meeting that, like, Harrison has this kind of meeting at the first day of every new town that you guys go to. Right? Well, so Ezeel, you're kind of in a pickle here. I mean, I think you probably see Gloria Alvarez come out of the tent. You know, there's a crowd of people, so you haven't been spotted yet, right? But what do you do?
Yeah, I think Ezeel is going to do his best to fade into the background of the crowd, but he probably is going to stick out regardless.
So you're just kind of content that you may have to face this person?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
Well, so in that case, Anita and Arlia and Bart, do you all just go get in line or go kind of muster up with everybody else?
Yeah, I don't think I know what's going on yet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you don't know anything about the.
And if this is just like a regular, you know, if he calls these meetings every time, then I don't know there's anything different about this one.
Oh yeah. There's nothing particularly unusual about the meeting, right? That's normal. So
they don't have any reason to avoid.
I'm gonna try and stick close at Glory's elbow, sort of like, you know, she obviously needs an assistant, an in-between, if like I can whisper people's names to her and stuff like that. Like, I'm obviously here to help her.
Yeah. Harrison gets up. He stands up on this little like soapbox thing, you know, so that he can kind of like get a good, you know, view of you all. And I mean, he's in the full regalia. I mean, full geesh here. Like, he's got the top hat, he's got the red, you know, the red vest and all that business, right? And it's dusty and windy, and you all look filthy, and it's only 9 a.m. and he is just immaculate, perfectly white pants, shiny black leather boots, just completely, you know, polished brass buttons, just perfectly untouched, unfazed. And he stands up and he says, "Friends, can you feel it? Can you feel it deep inside of you? Yes, I have felt it. I have felt the hunger of the people of Pratt, Kansas." He points really quickly at you, Arlia. What do they hunger for, Arlia? Tell me the answer.
They hunger for mystery.
Mystery! Bart, what do they hunger for? Come on, man. Cat got your tongue? Ha ha ha. That's a little dog face joke.
To be thrilled.
Thrilled, yes. Thrills would be the noun there, Bart. Nula, what are they hungry for?
Escape.
Escape. Ooh, I like the long syllabate S. Very good, Nula. Keep it. Stay in character at all times. Always be selling. That's what I say. Anita, what are they hungry for?
Power.
Oh, interesting. That's a new one, but all right. Folks, they're hungry for entertainment, and we are going to bring it to them. Yes, their fields are fallow. Yes, they have no jobs or food or really anything that might make life worth living. But for just a few short days, a few short nights, we are going to bring the people of Pratt magic. So, we're going to do it. It's going to be fantastic. But first, we have no gas for the generators. We're running very, very low. And one of the truck's engine blocks is, frankly, nearly ready to fall out. We've got to do some repairs. We have to get some supplies, and well, we're going to have to do it on a bit of a thin budget, but that's all right. We weave our magic, and we do so with spirit, desire, enthusiasm. Who needs money? And he looks and he sees Gloria Alvarez. Madam, are you here to see the show? Look, I told you, the people here are practically hungry for it. You're a little early, but we're happy to have you. And she's roaming around and she's kind of checking everybody out. And she stops and turns and is facing you, Izil, but speaking to Harrison as she does so. She says, I'm very, very excited to see your show, sir. I have a feeling that you have some very, very interesting and dangerous characters in your company. Izil, how do you react? What do you do? I might even make you endure the darkness if you just kind of stand there.
Yeah, that sounds fair. I think his he will intend to just give a little smirk as she says dangerous. But yeah, I think enduring the darkness is quite
seems appropriate. Yeah, roll plus breath.
Sorry, it's just my yeah, 0. That's what I thought. That's a 5.
A 5. You are standing there, and she's looking at you, and she smiles, and she steps forward really close, and she leans in, and she says, don't look so frightened. You're just a payday. There's someone else here that I'm after, and perhaps you could help me.
Then perhaps I shall.
She smiles. She leans back. She turns to Harrison. Well, I can't wait to see the show tonight. And then she just leaves. Heads back to her car. And why don't we just take a quick 5-minute break, and we'll come back.
I love your Chewbacca shirt, Brian. It's very on point.
All right. Guess we're waiting on Bethany. Fabulous. Quick bit of housekeeping. Anybody who rolled a miss, you get to mark an experience point. I think a couple of you at least did. The meeting breaks up. The main thing that needs to get done right now is the truck will have to get repaired at some point. You're here, so it's not a super immediate emergency, the big truck that is. But you definitely need gas for your generators. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time lighting your lights. So you don't have enough. You might have like one night's worth to get by, but you're definitely going to need more for your stay. And you have a little bit of cash. Harrison is also willing to part with some of his fabulous objets from various places in the world he's visited, if need be. But in any case, he's going to need one or all of you to go into town to procure gasoline. Harrison never does this sort of thing. In fact, you've never actually seen Harrison leave the carnival. He rarely leaves his tent during the day and almost never goes out by himself anywhere. He is just always there at the carnival. Who I'm imagining probably Anita would be asked to go do this of the four of you because the rest of you look strange. Ezeal less so, but yeah, I think Harrison will come up to you, Anita, and he'll say, Anita, tower among women, pillar of fantastic strength, a veritable colossus on the stage.
You want me to go get fuel, right?
I need you to go get fuel, yes.
All right.
As for the payment, James can dip into our coffers, as it were, and produce a likely inadequate sum. Also, if any of the locals would be interested, I have this fabulous brass statuette of the Indian god Ganesh. It's the multi-armed elephant god. Surely someone in Pratt is intrigued by the higher mysteries, as well as having extra gas. And so, take that with you as well.
All right. Sure.
And, of course, take someone else with you. Let people stretch their legs. Get out of here a little bit, you know? Go stop by the pharmacy. Have a soda. Do not trade the statuette of Ganesh just for soda, by the way.
Hadn't planned on it, but...
Good. Well, I have some very, very important research to do. And so I will be in my tent for the remainder of the day until showtime. Godspeed, Anita.
I feel like we have this conversation at every single town. And
it could go. It could be 3 minutes long, but it's like 20 minutes long, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Who will I go find? I don't know. Anyone want to volunteer?
I go with you.
Cool. That works. Yeah, that's good. I was hoping it was somebody who had actually had some idea what was going on.
So Arlia and Anita are going to go get fuel in town. Sorry, what else were you saying, Anita?
Oh no, I think in character that's also the case. Like I could find Arlia because something's going on and I'm not sure what it is. But hey, you know what? I have this psychic friend.
Yeah.
Let's have that scene. I think you're taking the truck out to town. You know, it's like maybe a couple miles drive, right?
Yeah.
And I think Arlia is very like hands wringing, obviously like distracted and distressed sort of thing. And I'll like looking sideways at Anita and say, you didn't recognize her, did you? The woman, Miss Alvarez?
No, I haven't seen her before.
Like, never?
She stands out. I think I'd remember.
She's here for something. I don't know what. I smell trouble on her and something else, and I can't tell quite what she is, but something bad is attached to her.
Okay. She's in a fancy car. What does someone like that want with us? You're right. It can't be good.
No, she's hunting for one of us. If someone's paying her, that means someone is willing to pay money for what they want.
Oh, it could be any of us then.
That's why we need to. She drove away. She must be staying somewhere near. We can find out something about her in town. We could find some connection to her. Something. I just need to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anybody in town who's seen her will remember her. That car, you know, that red suit. Yeah.
Yeah, and then once we get back, you need to look out for whoever it is. I don't know, but someone will need your help.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you heard anything about us having money problems, like more than usual? But I mean, everyone has money problems, but like.
I think that takes a moment, but you get like a genuine laugh out of Arlia as she like looks at the beat up truck that we're in, right, yeah, and looks around at Dust Bowl Middle America.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we live on nothing but money problems.
Yeah, but James has been looking at the books, and he thinks it's getting worse. I don't know. Like Harrison doesn't seem to, but who knows what? It's you. If anybody knows what Harrison's thinking, it's got to be you, right?
I mean, he's always so confident. Yeah. But maybe I could look. It's probably nothing new. I mean, it's just how a show like this travels. But if it'll make you feel better, I'll talk to Harrison.
Yeah, it'd be a load off my mind, and definitely James I don't know, he seemed real worried.
I'm gonna cut away, and I'd like to frame up the scene with Bart and Ezil and an NPC named NPC's name is Jacob. Jacob is no, we already have a James. Let me have a James and a Jacob. Let's have a I just keep doing J names. The hell, Daniel. So Daniel is a young guy, 20, 21, maybe. He is mostly just he's like all the carnies, he's he mostly just kind of helps, he spends half his time like helping put up tents and that kind of thing and whatnot. He has like he wants to be a performer. He's practicing knife throwing, so he's kind of does some knife throwing from time to time, and people know to sort of give him a wide berth when he's practicing knife throwing. His skills are not entirely locked in yet. He's also known for finding a young new love of his life in every town that you pass through. And he focuses very much on his love life and finding the right woman. And I think he joins the two of you. He's, healthy, hale, good looking, kind of, he's got the kind of flinty look that a lot of like people in this part of the country have. And he's kind of overly tanned, but he kind of joins you. Maybe the two of you are just kind of sitting, having a cigarette or something. And he comes up to you and he says, "Well, I don't know about two of you, but Carnival's looking pretty well set up and I think everything's kind of in hand. I would like to go into town and maybe check out some of the local fauna, if you know what I mean."
I think I understand your subtle euphemism, yes.
My God, a subtle euphemism. I don't even know what that means, Izil, but the way you say it, well, it sure is sexy. Look at you. You're a ladies' man, aren't you, Izil? I bet the women practically crumble in front of you.
Quite so.
Quite so. Well, so what do you say? Maybe the three of us, maybe we, I don't know, head into town. Truck's gone, so we'll have to walk. But, I don't know, maybe we grab a soda, maybe sample some of the local fare and see what's going on here in Pratt.
What do you say, Bart? Up for a little hunt?
Sure. I guess so.
Hey, come on, Bart. I mean, I know with your particular condition, probably makes it difficult to snag the ladies. Trust me, I imagine that's going to be pretty difficult for you. But you can kind of be my wingman, right? You're a conversation starter. That's what you are, Bart. Conversation starter.
Okay.
Maybe we could work out a whole thing where you kind of like you go crazy and snarl and snap at them, and I kind of I come in and I kind of swoop in for the rescue. What do you think about that? That could be fun.
You think you could rescue them from me?
Well, I don't mean for real, Bart. It's just it would just be like an act. It would just be like kind of a put on,
Right.
I think that makes him a little nervous. Like he's slightly unnerved by that. He says, "Well, so come on. Let's. I mean, no one's gonna care. Let's just go. We got a few hours to kill before the show."
Yes, let's get going while the going is still good.
My gosh, couldn't you two be a little bit more enthusiastic? I mean, here we are. We're in a brand new town. Still waters behind us, new day and all that. I've got a good feeling. I've got a feeling that I'm going to find the one in Pratt, Kansas. Let me tell you. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. It's like a sixth sense or something, Like I can just feel it in my bones. And he heads out. Do you follow him?
Yeah, this should be entertaining.
Indeed. So everyone's headed in town in kind of slightly different directions, but for different reasons. So it sounded like, because first of all, fuel. That's problem number one. I mean, you got to find somebody who might have fuel. Anita and Arlia, who might you go ask? And then if you also want to go follow up on this Gloria Alvarez thing, you can certainly do that too. But you do need to get fuel.
Yeah. Is there like a mechanic in town?
Yeah, sure. There's probably like there's probably like some kind of like some kind of shop or something like that. Yeah, definitely. So you pull up, and I think that there's a rube out there who's he's underneath the vehicle, on the little roller thing. You kind of see his legs sticking out. Anita, what do you do?
Just kind of walk up and like tap on the side of the vehicle.
Arlia, what are you doing in the meantime?
I think I'm getting out and sort of sticking by the truck, but looking around more at the surroundings in general. And, she's got sort of not white, but light colored sort of work travel clothes and a big like floppy hat sort of thing that's casting a big shadow over her face.
Yeah, you probably got to keep the sun off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he slides out from underneath the truck, Anita, and he's like, he's just kind of a, middle-aged guy, kind of, grizzled, thinning gray hair, dirty overalls. He kind of pushes out underneath, and he says, he's got his name on his little lapel, Bob. He says, yeah, can I help you?
Oh, hey there. So 2 questions. We need to get a lot of fuel. And at some point we're gonna need to fix a truck. And just wanted to see like if you would sell us the parts and or the fuel, or if you know somebody in town who.
He's like, yeah, I mean, I can probably get you some fuel. Well, we working on the truck. Your truck looks like it's working fine. What's going on with it?
Oh no, the other truck. Yeah, big. I told him the kind of truck and what's wrong with it and what parts we're gonna need.
He's like, oh, are you from that Carnival that just rolled in earlier today?
Yeah.
Night? Oh, all right. He kind of like, I think he doesn't have a really good view of Arlia, but he sees Arlia kind of like poking around, looking around, and he's like, I think he kind of sees her. She sticks out a little bit, and he says, "Who's that?"
Oh, she's this is Arlia. This is our fortune teller.
Fortune teller.
Yeah, you should come up tonight. She'll tell you your.
That sounds kind of, I don't know. Pastor Jeffrey says that kind of thing that's of the devil.
No, there's no devil there. She's She comes by it
What's
naturally.
what's wrong with her? What's wrong with her skin and her hair?
That's what gives her her. That's what gives her her sight or her foresight.
So she's been marked by the devil.
No, devil had nothing to do with it.
How do
Come
you?
on, you've heard the, and my brain just went. I know that story, and I know what the awful fucking story that goes with it, but I don't know. Oh yeah. The Noah's son. Anyway, yeah, there we go. Yeah, God, he was cursed because he was evil, and they turned his skin dark, not light.
Oh, so you're telling me then that your friend there has been blessed by God?
Yeah. You've never heard of prophets?
He kind of gets up at this when I think he's still laying down. He's still like kind of laying down, like like he's kind of ready to be done with you, ready to push himself back underneath the truck. And he's like, and he kind of like and Arlia hasn't approached yet, which is probably good because he seems a little weirded out by Arlia.
Mm-hmm.
But he says, I mean, I can get you fuel, but what? I mean, I assume you have some money.
Some.
All right. Well, he tells you the price it would be for like X amount of fuel that you require, and
right.
It's like way more than you have money for. So,
yeah. He doesn't seem. If he's just weirded out by Arlia, maybe that's not the best approach here.
He's like, "Well, do you have anything you can barter? A lot of folks are getting by on barter these days."
Yeah. We got. All right, look, and I show him this statuette. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of a weird thing, and I don't know if anybody in town.
That looks like an idol.
It is it's a statue from. Where is it? It doesn't matter where it is because he won't know the difference anyway. It's from Timbuktu, and
it's got 6 arms. That looks demonic to me.
Well, why do you think we're getting rid of it?
So you want me to take your demonic elephant statue in exchange for some fuel?
You. Wait, no, you clearly, not you. Just, anybody who collects these kind of things or might want it? Because yeah, you're right. It looks kind of scary, and my boss, somebody gave it to him, and
hey, listen, you're Carnival. You got one of those dog men.
Yeah, we sure do.
Well, and he's kind of like looking at you, and he's like, I sure would like to meet one of those dog men.
Yeah, you should come up, Bart. He's covered with hair.
Well, I can't be seen at the carnival, ma'am. That's holy evil. That's devil worship and idolatry. But I tell you what, you bring your dog man around here. I don't know, maybe in an hour or two, and well, I've got one of those. I've got a camera. Was a gift during better times, and I'd like to take some pictures with that dog man. Here, private like my home, and I'll give you your fuel, plus your statue, and whatever cash you got.
Well, I'll see if I can find him. And yeah, bring him to see if he's if he's willing. But I can't drag him here against his will. He's a dog man. He's not a dog.
Right. Well, and you'll notice that his little jack that he's using to hold the truck up, you see it bending. It's just mere seconds away from falling down and crushing him. And indeed, it slips and does. What do you do?
I'll grab the vehicle.
Nice. You grab the vehicle and you catch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Arlia, you'll notice that he's panicked. He slides out, he gets up, he sees Anita holding the vehicle and setting it down.
Yeah.
And he's starting to freak out. Arlia, what do you do?
Probably don't help. 'Cause I think like as I turn and he's freaking out, he gets like the full sort of pink-eyed stare. But I will come over and try and help Arlia. Basically,
He's like, you caught that truck, but he's like, yeah, you should. I should be dead right now.
Arlia is the strongest woman in the entire of the Middle America.
That's
Anita. Sorry.
You're Arlia, right?
And he's just like, he's starting to like, he's like, no. You've got powers. That's what you've got. You've got powers. Powers that were probably given to you by some dark force. Maybe by that thing you're holding right there. Talking about Ganesh.
Here, you hold it and see.
And he like sees you, Arlie, and he's like, freaked out by the way you look. He's like, I'm gonna have to ask the two of you to leave.
Man, such gratitude. Yeah, we'll get in the car. We're gonna get back in the truck.
But you know what he wants now.
Yeah.
You don't have the fuel yet, but you have a sense of what he wants. But he's freaked out, and he may be difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
That seems like it could have ended better.
Yeah. I don't know what Harrison's thinking about this. This idol, of course, it's going to scare people. This is not a town. You got some kind of collector of idols in this town, really?
I mean, every town has its outcast. Maybe we'll get lucky.
Yeah.
This was just one rube. We don't need to give up.
Yeah, we still need to ask around about that fancy car lady.
Miss Gloria Alvarez. Meanwhile, it's just a couple of miles to town. The two of you, or the three of you, you and Jacob or Bart, Jacob, and Ezil.
Daniel, not Jacob.
Oh, Daniel, that's right. Thank you. In my brain, he's been Jacob. Daniel, Bart, and Ezil. It's you can probably walk it in 20 minutes or whatever. And I'd like to paint the scene now that you're all in town. Pratt used to be a wealthy, vivacious middle America town. It used to be a place where people would come to live and to, set up shop, maybe farm or whatever. As you've gone down the main street, I want to know what you see that is a reminder of what Pratt used to be, but how it is now degraded because of these hard times. Whoever wants to go first.
I think there's there's the church in town, which is fairly small and like very old. Was obviously built when the town was first built. And I think there was a point when the town was expanding enough that they felt like, oh, we need to build a new church, we need to build a bigger church. And so like across the road from it, there's sort of the skeletal outline of where they got partway through building this bigger church when things fell out and the depression hit and the town sort of crashed, and it's just sitting there like half built and sort of rotting.
Nice.
I think there's a bank in town. It's sort of one of the, one of those sort of traditional sort of neoclassical big square, secure-looking brick buildings. It's I think it is still open, but it's showing signs of wear. There's no one actually behind any of the sort of telescreens. There's probably just like sort of a guy sat in a waistcoat, pretty much just sat on the porch outside.
Pretty good sign of the times, I imagine, right? Very good. Who wants to go next?
I think we get passed by someone riding in an automobile that's being pulled by a couple of horses.
Nice. That's good. What do you think, Anita?
There's a fountain in front of the courthouse that's it's like it used to, you can tell it used to look, very nice, and but it's been, there's obviously been no water in a long time. Like even the mold that grew like after it dried, or started to dry, even that like is just sort of this cracked black film.
Nice. So, Daniel, Bart, Ezeal. Daniel makes there's a pharmacy, and at this time, pharmacies would have also had like soda counters, right? Where you could get, well, in better times at least, you could probably easily get a soda and ice cream, that kind of thing. Who knows what you're going to get now? But he says, well, why don't we go in there and just see who's hanging around, huh? And he just heads straight for it.
Yeah, Ezeal's just going to follow along behind. He's probably, like, as he goes in, he's probably kind of scanning up and down the street looking for parked cars. But he's going to follow Daniel into the pharmacy.
You will see there is like a small motel a little further down the road, and you will see Glory's big old fancy, car there. And she did have some cryptic things to say to you earlier today.
Yep.
Do you go in with Daniel and Bart, or do you excuse yourself?
I am for now, yep.
Okay.
I'm going to follow them in.
Bart, you going in?
Yeah, I think Bart is probably following Ezeal for now, but yeah, he gives a long stare at that car for sure.
Yeah. You smell it before you see it, right? You go inside, and there's a man who's working the pharmacy counter and also the soda jerk counter. He's kind of wearing two hats. And there is a young woman in a kind of cornflower blue skirt and sort of light colored blouse. She's pretty young, probably like 17, 18, something like that. And she's sitting there enjoying a milkshake or something. And Daniel turns to the two of you and says, "All right, gentlemen, this is looking pretty promising so far. Pretty promising indeed."
Well, I look forward to seeing the master at work. Do go ahead.
He kind of looks at you because he's not sure if you mean that seriously or not. And nods and says, "Yeah, okay." And he goes up to her and he kind of like puts his hands on the little table. He kind of leans in and he says, "So, did it hurt?" She's like, "I'm sorry, what hurt?" "When you fell from heaven." And she seems fairly unimpressed by this opening line. And she says, "Very funny. Very funny. I'm okay, thanks." And she's kind of like brushing him off. And he kind of like comes back. He's like, "Yeah, I could feel the tension, the electricity between us. Gonna have to keep working on it a little bit, you know."
So, Bart, want to try your hand?
Yeah, Bart, what do you want to do?
He just shakes his head no.
The young woman looks over and sees the three of you. She looks startled when she sees you, Bart, but she tries to. She's too polite to like react visibly shocked, right? But you've seen this look before, this kind of like startled, awkward politeness, right? And even you, Azil, you look kind of like strange, right, compared to the locals for sure. And she's kind of like looking over at you all, but also kind of like over your shoulder and past you a little bit. And you hear a door opening behind you, possibly a bathroom door on the other side of the store, maybe. Azil, what do you do?
Yeah, I will turn in the direction of the door.
You will see a big, tall guy, maybe in his. He's actually seems a little older, like maybe like in his late 20s or so, and he is surprisingly healthy looking because most everybody around here looks kind of like flinty and weathered, but he looks kind of like healthy and strong. He's wearing like just a pair of simple trousers and a white shirt rolled up to show his bronzed forearms, and he kind of like steps up to the three of you, and he's really startled by you, Bart. He's like, "Whoa, holy moly, where did the three of you come from? Where'd you come from?" Especially talking to Bart.
We're good.
It's just from the Carnival.
Carnival. Golly. Are you like what? Oh, he kind of reaches out and he's like, can I touch it? Can I touch your fur?
Pull back and you got it. You have to pay at the carnival.
All right, I might. I just might. Jeez.
We're just putting the word out, trying to drum up some enthusiasm for it. Would be a pleasure to see you there if you would care to join us.
He's like, maybe my girl and I, maybe we'll show up tonight. My father doesn't really approve of such things, but he doesn't need to know what we get up to, does he?
It's probably best not know.
Where are you from?
I am from Africa, from the Sahara.
Well, what do you do?
I tame snakes.
Interesting. Snakes, huh? And I think as you're having this conversation, Daniel has already slipped off and is trying to hit on this young woman again. And this will get the guy's attention, and you'll see he's pissed. He goes red in the face because he sees Daniel like he must have finally got her to laugh or something. She's laughing at something now. And he's like furious, and you can tell he's about to go over there and beat the shit out of Daniel, or at least get in his face. Bart, what do you do?
I think I'll just yell out to Daniel, "Hey, Daniel, maybe we should go."
Daniel turns, and that guy like steps up to him and gets right in Daniel's face. And he says something kind of quietly. You can't tell exactly what he's saying. But you see Daniel getting mad now. Like Daniel's getting pissed. Like you can see him getting red in the face. And this is about to come to blows. Izil, what do you do?
I think I'm just going to march over and grab Daniel by the shoulder and say, come, we have other places to be. There's no... these fine people are already aware of our performance tonight.
I want you to endure the darkness in the face of danger. Tell me what you want to withstand right now and roll plus breath.
Sure. I think I just want to keep Daniel sort of under control until we're out of the building, basically. That's
yeah, that's good. Roll plus breath.
That's an 8 in total. No, sorry, 9 in total, but yeah.
I will offer you a wicked bargain, a painful choice, or a price paid to the darkness. I think I am going to offer I don't know how painful the choice is, but it's a choice. Could be painful depending on how you interpret it. I think you are going to keep the situation under control, and you're going to diffuse the situation, and you are going to attract the attention of one of the two of them, the guy or the girl. If you choose the girl, she'll be smitten by you, by your cool, by your calm, and she might even like want to try to, pursue you romantically. If you attract the attention of the guy, it basically means you're going to piss him off, and he might try to harass you and or later on.
Sure. I think I will go for attracting the girl's attention. That seems like the more fun one here for the moment.
I think so too. So as you diffuse the situation, just tell me like what you see as she's watching that lets you know that like you have enthralled her in some way. How do you know?
Yeah, I think she's probably almost doing that sort of thing of not really wanting to kind of like acknowledge the whole standoff that's happening between Daniel and her boyfriend. And as I kind of come over and grab Daniel, she kind of glances up and just by sort of the movement and looks away, but then she kind of does that like double take and sort of looks back, and there's just that sort of probably just a slight blush comes over her cheeks for a moment as I'm kind of manhandling Daniel out of there.
Yeah, that's good. I'm going to cut back to the other two. So Anita and Arlia, you freaked out the station attendant who has gas, but something. He's really curious in seeing a dog man. It's got some kind of there's something about the situation, although his request was kind of creepy, if we're being perfectly honest.
It was.
And I will also tell you that this is a one main street kind of town, and you'll see Glory's car parked in front of the motel. So finding Glory is not going to be any trouble. What do you guys do?
I point out the car, like, want to look in the car, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, we should see if she's around and what we can find out.
That seems safe and reasonable.
Exactly.
Don't look suspicious at all. Like our truck with the big Carnival sign on the side.
I mean, it won't take much to figure out what room she's in, because all the rooms have the windows pulled open, but hers, which is also very near, it's a drive-up kind of motel. Hers is also, it's near where her car is parked, and the curtains are pulled closed. So
okay, yeah. So
maybe there's a little crack, but more or less pulled closed.
Yeah, so I think I stopped the car like not right in front of that window, like kind of to the side where she's not gonna see us through that crack.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to get a look in that car.
Go ahead and roll. Roll keep an eye out for trouble. And this can count for if you're checking out the car, I'm into that. What are you doing, Arlia?
I think I'm moving up towards that window, and trying to stay out of the way of the crack, but like getting up to the side of the window and like laying my hand and my face against it.
Nice. You could be also keeping an eye out for trouble in a psychic way, I suppose, or if you have a better move that makes more sense in this context.
I don't have a great move for like mediuming, talking with ghosts sort of thing.
You could keep an eye out for trouble. I think that's fair.
Cool.
But because of your sensitivity, you might perceive things differently, perhaps. What was your result, Anita?
11.
Nice. You get to S2.
Okay. What dark truth is hidden here?
the trunk of the vehicle, which is just a kind of a small compartment right on a car like this, but nevertheless, it's slightly ajar. It hasn't been closed completely. Do you open it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You open it, and you are shocked to see what appears to be a body
Hey.
in pieces,
Okay.
fairly fresh.
Great.
Lots of blood.
Yeah, that's you're right. I am very shocked by that. Yeah, I think I like immediately, back away.
I want you to endure the darkness. What are you trying to
Sure,
withstand right
yes.
now?
God, I don't, what am I trying to withstand? Well, the last time I saw a dead body, I had killed him. So I think it's like just immediate, irrational, like I'm going to, nobody can see me here.
Yeah, like, just freaking out, basically,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Roll plus breath. And you get a +1 because you're following up on your question. So it's breath +1.
What is it I'm rolling in? Oh, endure the darkness. I think I actually have a move for that. Yes, so I can remove bones, which is good because I rolled a 6. But I can. It's actually a 7.
Nice. A wicked bargain, a painful choice, or a price paid to the darkness. I want a price paid to the darkness. I just want you to mark your dark.
Okay.
You're tainted. Meanwhile, what'd you get, Arlia? We'll come back to you for your other question in a minute.
Oh, who, me? Communing with spirits? Yeah, I got a 5.
5, good. You said you were pressing up against the glass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Almost like you're trying to like listen, maybe, or
Mm-hmm.
sense what might be on the other side. And you start to hear something. It sounds very, very close, perhaps just right on the other side of the glass, right by your ear, right by your head. You hear this kind of it stops. And then there's an exhale. And then, who are you?
I whisper back, Misaki, what do you seek?
Oh, I seek the same thing as you, Misaki. I want to see the world bathed in blood.
And I think she'll sort of like close her eyes and shudder and say, would you come see it with me? She's sort of opening an invitation.
There's no response. But you start to see some movement inside the room. And you hear Glory approaching the door. She says, is someone out there? Hello? And she's going for the door.
Yeah, Arlia like snaps back to herself with this sort of panicked, like, "Oh shit, what am I doing? Where am I?" And I'll try and dive out of the way if I can.
Yeah. Go ahead and mark an XP for your missed roll. I'm going to go ahead and give Anita a chance to ask the second question.
Best way out of this mess.
Yeah. I mean, I think you probably see Arlia like, oh shit, like I'm about to be caught. There's actually like a little side hallway. There's a little side hallway. No, no side hallway. There's like a little janitor's closet. The door is ajar. Lots of ajar doors right now. If you grab Arlia, you can probably quickly dive in there. Just give me a roll plus breath. We'll do Endure the Darkness. I think it's pretty obvious what you're trying to withstand, which is being seen by by Gloria Alvarez. But you get a +1 as well.
Oh, that's good. 7.
Yeah, you get in there, but I think you get in there, but not before you can close the trunk. And so Glory knows that someone has seen her bloody body parts.
Great.
You might even be watching her through the crack of the janitor's door. She goes out there. She sees the trunk is open. She kind of looks to the left, looks to the right to see if like anybody is around. And she closes it up. And she didn't seem shocked at all to see these body parts in there, by the way. and then she just goes back in her room.
Okay.
Let's take a 5-minute break. So you have enough fuel for one night. That was made clear in the beginning. So the fact that you haven't secured fuel yet is not going to be the end of the world. You will be able to put on the first night's performance. Is there anything else anybody wants to do before we head into the first night of the performance, or the first performance night? Good. Well, the sun sets on Pratt, Kansas, and we hear the sizzle and pop of string lights and string lights coming on, illuminating the carnival. Big, huge, colorful tents. Some locals are showing up. Maybe not as many as Harrison would have hoped. Most of the people, I imagine, are just curious about what this is all about. Some people, younger people especially, seem genuinely excited, right? Let's paint the scene. If you were a local of Pratt, Kansas, you would find the carnival either exciting, mysterious, or frightening. You get to choose what you describe, whether it be something they see that's frightening, mysterious, or exciting. Or all three, or two, your choice. But let's take a tour. Not your own exhibits, by the way. This is other parts of the carnival.
Well, I mean, it's a carnival in the 30s. There's got to be the tent full of like weird creatures in formaldehyde. And I think that like it's it's frightening in a sort of a fascinating, disgusting way. I think probably a lot of people come out of that tent looking a little pale, and others are like joking and punching themselves at each other in the arm to like hide the fact that they're a little freaked out by it.
Nice.
So I think there's a Hall of Mirrors type thing set up. And it's it is sort of, again, it sort of probably is a genuine thrill to people here. It's sort of weird and a bit flashy, a bit showy, but every now and then someone just catches out of the corner of their eye something in the mirror that really freaks them out. Can't quite describe it, but quite a few people come out looking shocked at what they've seen.
Nice.
Sort of somewhere between frightening and exciting, but I think there's a pair of like fire breathers that wander through the tents. They tend to dress in very dark clothes, and so the first sort of entrance of them is generally like this giant gout of flame coming out from the shadows in front of someone, and then the two of them sort of fade into view and do their little performance for people and then fade back.
Bart, what say you?
I totally had fire breathers in my head, and now I have to switch. Maybe like some juggling clowns.
So frightening, then.
Maybe I think you see one, and then they start, the pins or whatever they start throwing them like over the heads of audience members. And it turns out that their partner is actually, went around the other side of them, and they're now juggling over the crowd.
Good. Harrison is like he's in full Harrison mode, right? He actually doesn't go by Harrison. His show name, and indeed possibly the name of your carnival, is I had it written down somewhere. Let me find it. Diogenes Dashwood's Delirium is the name of it. And he presents himself as Diogenes Dashwood. And he's like, as people enter, he's kind of like diving really close to them and, saying, "Oh, aren't you, prepared to be thrilled by the dog-faced boy," and then he kind of like dives towards another person as they're walking in and says something like, "Marvel at the feats of strength of Anita the Strong Woman," right? All that kind of thing. And you can hear him. It's a constant refrain of Diogenes kind of belting out to the guests. And we're not going to go to performances quite yet. I just want to go around the table and find out what you each do as a sort of like pre-performance ritual. If you might be looking for anybody in particular among the guests, maybe finding each other. I don't know, whatever you want to do. But what do you think, Arlia? Also, I want to note that, Arlia, I wanted you to mark a dark for that encounter with the entity or whatever it was.
Can do. Cool. So as far as like pre-performance, I think there's a lot of like preparing and setting up her space inside the tent. There's like an obscene number of candles and incense braziers and things that all need to be like set up, and reflections and shafts of light need to go the right way. But she's sort of rushing it because I think she's definitely still hooked on Gloria Alvarez, and so she's keeping an eye out for like if she can lure her to come to the performance. That's what she would want out of the evening.
We shall see. We shall see. What about you, Bart? What's your pre-show ritual, or what are you up to right now?
Right. Lots of brushes and combs. Yeah, I think Bart has a particular outfit that he only wears for the performance. So it's just about getting dressed.
What is the outfit?
It's as nice and fancy as they can cobble together at the circus. Like it's
so you have this juxtaposition of like the nice suit with the bow tie and then dog face, right? Is that the idea? Yeah. That's almost like an elephant man thing, right?
Yeah, that's at least how the show starts.
Oh, very good. Oh, it's a striptease, all right. Or do you tear it off, virile and feral? Good. What about you, Nula? Steak trauma.
Yeah, so obviously Nula's big sort of pre-performance ritual is obviously going to be getting made up. So she'll have sort of the it's kind of the outfit she wears. It's that kind of to a modern eyes is almost offensively appropriative sort of Eastern mystic thing going on. So she's sort of got the her chest, which is obviously shaved smooth, is covered in sort of green and gold sequins, with then a sort of brief sort of veiled suggestion, a sort of top over them, sort of harem pant sort of things, bells sort of at the side of the her arms, wrapped around her ankles. quite sort of striking makeup that really draws attention to her eyes, which look even more hypnotic. And again, sort of probably braided sort of scarves through the hair. And once she's sort of in persona, she withdraws from its tanker, large, probably almost sort of 2 meter long Egyptian python, which sort of curls up around her, and she will go out and start sort of working the crowd, essentially.
Nice. Anita, what do you do right now?
So like Anita's act is it's there's a balance to it, because on the one hand you want the actual act to be very impressive and striking, but also there's a chance of getting people from the audience to like come up and try their luck and pay for it and like try to beat her. So she doesn't want to look like that amazingly strong, right? So I think she's like wearing sort of a brightly colored but fairly ordinary looking dress, and has like large heavy objects around. Some of them are on a table, and part of the act is going to be like pick up the table with all of these things, but that's not like clear from the, like, it looks like, I'll pick up these things from the table. And I think so. I think the actual, like, there's not a whole lot of preparation other than just sort of arranging things and like trying to look to strike this balance between like tough and also beatable. I think the effect ends up being like truck stop waitress.
Good. So let's talk about. So does this take place in a tent, or are you kind of out in the open?
I think it's like there's it's like the front of a tent. Like you have to go in. It's not. But that's it. It's just the front.
Okay, good. And what does your sign say? Like, if people are going to go in and see your act, like, what is it? How is it painted? What does it say?
Oh, I think it's like strongest woman in the Midwest again, because like not strongest woman in the world, strongest woman in the Midwest.
I like this. Yeah, scale it down. Yeah, like it's like I may not be able to beat the strongest woman in the world, but I bet I can take the strongest woman in the Midwest. Yes. Right? Yeah, that's good. Good. While you're in the middle of doing your act, and like you've got kind of like young braggarts or whatever who are like thinking they can lift a more bowling balls or whatever than you or whatever, right? Like, or stones,
right?
And you're proving them wrong, and they're losing their money, and they're kind of laughing and giving each other a hard time and all that kind of stuff, right? You'll see a young man, probably in his mid to late 20s, and a young woman, very young, 17, 18 years old. She's wearing like kind of a pink pencil skirt and a sort of turquoise blouse, and he's dressed kind of like he's handsome. He's a handsome, good-looking guy, just trousers and check shirt. And they come in, and someone hollers at him. They say, "Nathan, you should try to arm wrestle her. See if you can take her down." And he kind of like smiles. He kind of like, "Oh, come on, look at her. It'd be too easy." And they're kind of egging him on, like, "Yeah, go arm wrestle." They're like, "Do you arm wrestle? Will you arm wrestle him?"
Oh yeah. Sir, come on. I'll bet there's a fee for challenging me, and there's
he pays it.
The fee to get in.
He pays it, yeah, and everyone seems very delighted by this, and he sits down on the other side of the table and he's getting ready to arm wrestle you or whatever, and he hasn't seen any of the rest of the act, so he doesn't actually know how strong you are, right?
Right.
And describe how you beat him in the most humiliating way. Like, what does this look like?
Okay, so I was sitting like across this thing, and I push his arm down and then I just like keep pushing him back until he just falls backwards out of his chair.
Nice. I think he
And
takes
then
a
I offer him
tumble.
a hand up.
Yeah. I think when you offer you offer him a hand up, he's pissed. He's like
Right.
really angry, and he kind of like slaps your hand away, and he kind of like stands up in a huff. And the young woman is like, she's like, oh, Nathan, it's all right. Like, don't be so angry. And he like spins on her and like yells at her, and he's like, get off me. Why don't you mind your own business? And he pushes her. And she kind of lands on her butt. And she looks really shocked. Everyone's kind of shocked. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, hey, it's
I think I want to endure the darkness first.
sure, yeah. Okay.
What would you try to withstand at this moment? How are you feeling? And what would you try to be not doing right now in this moment?
I'm trying not doing. Yeah, I mean, I'm mad at him, but I know better than to like, maybe pick up something from the stage and throw it at him, or run after him and grab him. But like, I'm real tempted to do that. So
yeah, roll Endure the Darkness. Let's see how it goes.
Okay.
Plus breath, please.
That is a 4 for me. That's plus bone, and it's still a failure. And on a miss, I take 2 harm. Great.
Oh, I was doing Endure the Darkness. What were you reading?
So I have this move, unflinching. When you endure the darkness by suffering in stoic silence, roll plus bones instead of plus breath. But on a bones break instead of giving you strength, and you take 2 harm.
Oh, wait. So let me read this. On a miss, bones break instead of giving you strength. You take 2 harm. Why do you take 2 harm? I don't understand that.
I guess it's the trade-off for getting to roll bones instead of breath, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, is it fair to say though that you would like lose it? Like, whose bones are breaking here? Yours? His?
I guess mine. Like if I'm.
Are you just like clenching your muscles and like to restrain yourself, and you like
you injure yourself with restraint?
Yeah, that's bizarre.
It is kind of a bizarre outcome.
It's interesting, but it's hard to figure out how that or why that would work.
What it looks like is like strange to me. What's the trigger on that move? It's me. When you endure their way suffering in stoic silence. Huh. Yeah. That's super interesting. Bones break instead of giving you strength. Okay, yeah. I think you like, maybe it's a metaphorical bones breaking. I mean, maybe like maybe it literally makes you like kind of sick, or like
that's fair.
It's a soul harm almost. I think you are keeping it together. She begins crying, and she gets up, and as she's running out, he kind of like mutters under his breath. He says something like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe my father's making me marry her. What a crybaby. And so what are you doing? Well, we'll come back to it. Arlia. No, Bart. So you mentioned, your performance. First of all, what does the sign look like? Like, what is what are you called? What does it look like? What's the deal there?
Right. I think the sign is probably looks more like an actual wolf with just like, Bart's face on it, and like, pine trees and snow, and like says something, raised by wolves in the north, frozen north.
Good. Appearing now in Pratt, Kansas by way of the frozen north. Good. And so, tell me a little bit about your act. I mean, what is it? What happens? What do you do?
I think for the admission price, you come in and you can just, he sits there and looks civilized and shows how he's been like taught to read and a couple simple things like that. And then maybe like if you'll pay a little extra, he'll actually take his coat off, go behind a screen and like come out so you can see it's not just his face, he's just covered in this long hair. And then he like goes back behind the screen, and then there's like a little secret passage to like, so he can run out like howling and screaming at them to scare that group out so that they can then make room for more.
Nice. Good. I love it. This is going on for some time. And eventually, normally there would be a group that would be going back to, like, look at you, right? Touch your fur and all that kind of stuff. But this time it's just a man. You can smell the engine grease and oil on him, even though he's cleaned up and he's got a slick comb over situation going on. And and he's wearing like a kind of he's actually wearing like a kind of ill-fitting suit. But you can smell the engine grease and the oil. And he's back there with you. Just, he's paid to be there to see you. At the beginning, how are you dressed again? Like how do you look?
Just like a suit, jacket, and I think a bow tie sounds good.
And fur, but
the hair's all
cool. Yeah, okay, good.
Great. Yeah.
He steps back there and he's like, "Oh, hi. I just wanted to come see you."
And you have.
Can I touch it?
I think maybe I'll pick up a brush and hand it to him.
He's like, "Oh, yeah." He goes in, he begins stroking it very gently, very carefully with brush. Your fur, fine. And he says, "I'm getting echo off someone. I don't know who it is. I'm going to mute you, Patrick, in case it's you." But he says, Can I see the rest of you? Can I see the rest of it?"
Don't think you've paid to see the rest of it.
What are you thinking right now?
I don't think Bart loves this, but at the same time, he's not disgusted or afraid. So I think Bart's willing to go along with this for now.
He grabs money out of his pocket and presses it into your hand. He says, "I want to see if the rest of you is covered in fur like that." I want to see if you're real.
Okay.
Do you disrobe?
Yeah. Are we?
It's totally private. You're in the little back private
We're in
area.
the back private area.
There's no one else around. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you show your furry body to him, tears begin rolling down his cheeks. I'm gonna cut away. Arlia. You'll see Gloria Alvarez. She is dressed in she's dressed in kind of a she's dressed in pants or like in trousers. She's got like a women's suit, right? Looking very, very avant-garde and cutting edge, right? She sticks out. And she's, playing carnival games and eating candy floss and kind of, laughing and cavorting. What do you do?
I remember that I have to find the unmute button. So I think Arlia, for the performance, like everything is very sort of heightened up. So she's wearing a wig that's actually like stark bright white, and she's got like the big like fake eyelashes, and she's powdered her skin, and is wearing this like very dark sort of loose dress robe. So like you can see bits of her arm, or it shows her shoulder or something. And she's standing there in the entrance to her tent, and I think just when Gloria's like leaving one of the games of chance, like having won or gotten some prize or whatever, she's there and just like making intense eye contact with her before she disappears behind the flap of the curtain, and hopefully luring her over.
She does. She comes over, and when she steps in her tent, first of all, when she sees your sign, what does she see?
So I think it's got like the script at the top that says, Arlia, the veil between, and the bottom of the sign has like the top of a candle that's obviously just gone out because you see like the smoke curling up from the wick. And as the smoke gets higher on the sign, it sort of solidifies into the shape of a woman, and then you have like Arlia's face solid and pale out of the white smoke. And then I think just in like wisps around that, there are these sort of deathly gaunt faces that are half formed.
And she seems notably unimpressed, but of course she would. She's got body parts in her trunk. And she sits down, and she's doing this exact pose I am, kind of leaning in, their hands together like that, her cheek resting on the back of her hand, and she says, I'm dying to know what you see. What do you see beyond the veil?
Miss Alvarez, these are dangerous questions. The veil is there for a reason. Do you feel sure that you would want to know?
I'm quite certain I already know the answer, but I'm very interested to hear what sort of unseen nuances you might be able to reveal.
Well then, let us lay out the cards and see what the spirits have to say. And she'll pull it's a very like dark blacks and reds and purples in this deck that she pulls out and starts laying out a spread of cards. And thus the cards move. When you read the cards to see past the veil of time, roll plus guile. This woman's a fucking enigma. That is a 6. Let's see. On
I've
a
got the
miss,
answer. Oh, is there something else?
yeah, on a miss, the cards reveal an immediate danger that is impossible to avoid.
Oh, buckle up.
Hmm.
You have your deck of tarot cards, and you flip the first card over, and it's the devil. You go for the second card in your 5-card spread, and you flip it over, and it's the devil. You go for the third card in your 5-card spread, your deck that only has one devil in it, and it's the devil. And I think in your... First of all, this might be an Endure the Darkness, but also if you quickly scan the cards, they're all the devil. I want you to endure the darkness. What are you afraid will happen right now? I want you to mark dark, for one thing. And then I also want you to endure the darkness as well. What are you trying to withstand? And mark XP if you didn't earlier.
I did. So this is beyond. Like, Arlia plays with letting little ghosts in and, playing out human dramas. This is something other than. This is something bigger, and I think she's afraid that, like, it wants in and she's unintentionally made an invitation that she can't stop, sort of thing.
Roll it.
That's breath. Oh, finally. That's a 9.
Price paid to the darkness. You are sitting there. I think you're keeping it together. And the whole time you're flipping devil cards, Gloria is sitting there smiling. And eventually, the candles in your tent are blown out, and you're just sitting there in darkness with Ms. Alvarez. We'll come back to that. Lula. What do we see on your tent?
So yeah,
or do you perform out in the open?
So essentially, I think part of the sort of the performance is just the fact that she does kind of just work through the crowd, sort of letting people see the snake, and this. But yes, she does also put on private shows in the tent for groups or individuals. The inside of the tent, or at least the sort of public facing half of the tent, is it has one of those sort of like gauzy curtains with sort of sparkles in it, so it kind of gives it a kind of night sky type look when it's when by the sort of candlelight in the tent. It's done up in a slightly sort of kitschy, Mysteries of the Orient sort of way, but someone who knows their stuff will notice a couple of bits, like the rug on the floor and sort of one of the water jugs and stuff just at the side of the room. They're all actual sort of genuine, sort of North African Berber pieces. It's very sort of muted lighting in the tent, sort of lots of cushions on the floor for seating on, that sort of thing, and.
Two audience members of note. The young woman from the pharmacy, crying, comes in and takes a seat and is trying to compose herself. Second audience member of note is James, who is not sitting in the audience area, but he's definitely standing near the threshold of the entrance to the tent, kind of watching. This is highly unusual. James, first of all, carnies don't usually watch the acts of each other because they're too busy or they don't care. But James is like, he looks like really interested to see your performance. How does your performance go? What do you do?
Yeah, so I think I will sort of dance with the snake, sort of snake riser. I mean, it's obviously a very sort of sensuous performance. There's probably kind of the sound of sort of that kind of ecstatic drumming, even though there doesn't necessarily seem to be anywhere it's coming from, but these things happen. And I think so I actually have a move for my performance, which is when you dance essentially with your snake for an NPC, tell them what you want from them and roll with grace. So I think what I might be doing here is, though the girl is ostensibly my audience, I'm probably actually performing for James.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think what I want from him. I think I probably want him to I want him to distract Glory for me.
Oh, good. That's good. Is there a roll there?
Yes, there is. It's with grace. So that's a 7 in total. So that means, sorry, just get the move back up again, flicking through windows. Yes, so on a 7 to 9, on a 10 plus, they do it for just a glimpse of your flesh. On a 7 to 9, they're going to want more than a glimpse.
Yeah. As you are doing your dance, it's almost like the rest of the audience just slips away, and you just see James, and he's watching you. He is not smiling, but kind of licking and nervously biting his lower lip. And you'll get your ask eventually, but you know that it's going to come with a price. We have 10 minutes left, and I think everybody is at kind of a nice cliffhanger for now to pick up next week with Anita and Testosterone Boy and whatever the fuck is going on in the Dog Boy tent and this situation with James and Arlia possibly talking to the devil. So in the dark.
I had a quick question there.
Sure. Yeah.
Off that, Endure the Dark, when you're saying a price paid to the darkness, does that mean marking a dark, or?
We're gonna finish that scene and then we'll kind of see. We'll kind of develop it from there. I don't think you necessarily means mark dark, but
cool.
You will be paying a price to darkness.
Yeah.
With our remaining time, let's just do a quick stars and wishes. Stars are things that you particularly enjoyed. Wishes are things that you would like to see for next time. So I will begin by saying that I had a lovely time. It was a very, very fun session. And that I enjoyed I particularly enjoyed the pace. This felt like the first episode of a really good HBO show, and that felt really good to me. I thought everybody was like nobody was like pushing too quick, too hard, too fast. It was like nicely paced out. So congratulations on that. And in terms of wishes, well, I definitely want to see what's going on with this obsessive and Bart. I'm very curious about what that is. It's super uncomfortable, but there's something there, and I'm dying to find out where it goes. And I also am very anxious to continue exploring Anita's guilt. I think those are the two things I really want to hit on next time. So those are my wishes. Who else wants to go next?
So I'll say, like I was also a huge fan of the sort of slow rollout of creeping dread sort of feel. Like obviously you led and paced a lot of that, but everyone sort of leaned into that sort of slow unfurling. It was really neat. Also, this game is just cool. Like I want to know what's going on. As far as wishes, I'm really curious about this woman. Obviously, like I stuck with Glory, but I think the part that's cool is that like connection to or call from the carnival. Like why, as destructive and invasive as she seems, why does she also sort of feel like a part of things?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to explore there. I'm excited. Who wants to go next?
I really like that all of the characters, like each has a story, a different story, but they all feel like they have their own distinct, like, this thing is going on. And I like how you kind of like took the characters that or like the guy that Anita and Arlia met, and like threw him at Bart, and like took the characters a different character met earlier, and yeah, I'm real curious to see what's up with Glory. And also, yeah, the guy that's obsessed with Bart, who, yes, completely creeped me out. And yeah, kind of want to know what's going on there. So
Yeah, I was loving that scene with Bart. Like I knew I was creeping into X card territory, but like that's the space I like to play in, like that real like right up against the line kind of space. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, echoing what everyone said, I think the pacing was really good. I think everyone's cuts came across really nicely. I think the particular star, again, I love the creepy mechanic. He's so much fun. I really enjoyed his appearances. I think my wish, I guess, to be honest, and this is more something for me myself to be aware of, sort of thing, is I just want to like try and be a bit nastier, I guess.
Every other time I've played this, every
Yeah.
other time I've played this, the Snake Charmer is like low-key villainous, right? Or more than low-key villainous, right? So yeah, I can definitely see, because like almost all the moves like point to this sort of villainy, right?
Yeah,
so, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you'll have an opportunity.
Oh yeah.
I've got a feeling. It could be villainy in service to, but it's like villainy in service to fighting the darkness, right? Like that's the interesting thing about the Snake Charmer to me. So. Brian, do you have anything?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I have anything specific to say. I'm really enjoying watching everyone, and it's really kind of distracting that I have to then play sometimes. And it's like, oh, I really like watching this. Now, oh yeah, I need to think of things too. Dang it.
Right. Yeah. It's the thing. I'm loving it. I feel as a GM, I'm 100% in my element in this game. This is like my element to be in, and so I love it. Like that motel scene like was really like I was really into that. I was really into the Bart scene. I was really into the flipping the devil cards, like all that. Like there's this Crossroads Carnival is like one of those games. It's like my game to between. It's like Monster Hearts. It's the space I love to play in as far as role playing games go. So like this is really A+ for me, and I'm just happy that you all kind of gave back and kind of really leaned into some of these darker aspects. So thank you for that. Well, I'm going to stop this.